topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Experts show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning. Welcome from the warm weather of Florida. Actually, it's in the 60s here, but a lot of places would love to have that kind of weather. We've got a great show for you today. Today's show really hits my heart, and it seems like there are many people who have the problem that we're going to talk about today. But the great news is there is, I don't want to call it a cure, but there is a technique that I have proven to be right that will get you to stop snoring. Yeah, I mean, and not putting some apparatus in your mouth or some tape on your nose. We're going to talk about stop snoring today. And I got to tell you, this is God sent. God brought me this incredible woman who is a speech pathologist by trade. And she discovered a way to get people to stop snoring. I didn't believe it at first, but I went on the program myself, and I've been off my CPAP machine for probably a month and a half, 2 months. I've been on a CPAP machine for like 7 years. Let me welcome, I call her my miracle worker, Janet Bennett. Good morning, Janet.
Good morning.
I don't know what, it is so easy to do my opening. It's not a monologue, but my opening with you because you're one of my experts that really affected me. And I'm going to let you do most of the talking today, but I want people to know while they're listening and watching that I went on Janet's program myself. And to get me to stop using my CPAP machine it's a miracle. So, Janet, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy.
Your technique and your background, go right ahead.
Okay, I'm so happy to be here. And I just want to make a comment about, you just called me like your miracle worker. I don't consider myself a miracle worker, but I do want to share that when I was 12 years old, I watched that movie, The Miracle Worker, with Anne Bancroft. And that is what made me decide that I wanted to be a speech pathologist.
I never knew that.
Yeah, it was cool. I didn't know it was called a speech pathologist. I just knew that I wanted to be someone to help other people who couldn't talk or hear or whatever, you know. So, yeah, it was great. I never looked back. Age 12, I knew what I was going to do.
That's amazing.
I didn't know I was going to discover a cure for, and I do call it a cure for snoring. Didn't know that at all. I do know that all of my life growing up, I had this nagging thing that I needed to write a book. I just knew I was going to write a book. I didn't know what in the world it would be about, but I knew I would write a book. Well, the day that I discovered this cure for snoring and decided that I would create a treatment program that was my book. And after that day, I never had that nagging feeling again. So this is what I've been all about for the last 20 years. And it's my passion. I love to help people, especially with the stop snoring thing. It's intriguing because you've got, on the one hand, you've got one spouse says they don't snore, the other says they do. And in the end, if as long as the one that doesn't snore does the exercises, then in the end, the other spouse is sleeping so soundly that she can't tell him or her whether he's stopped snoring or not. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
So
I've been through this. I know.
both of them end up being happy. And so that's great. So these little things. Oh, and I've told you about the little girl, the 9-year-old girl I treated for snoring. She told me one day that she knew she had stopped snoring. I said, well, how do you know that? And she said, because my cat came back to go to bed with me. So
That's good.
I get these great stories. And
I
one woman
understand that.
talked about roosters not waking her up outside and something. So it's, for everyone, it's different with the snoring. It's different as to how loud it is or how often you do it or, how intense it is. But snoring, if you do it long enough, lots of times your mouth might open wider and wider when you're sleeping. And that is when you run the risk of it turning into sleep apnea. And when you get sleep apnea, the way you know if you get sleep apnea is one time during the night, one day or one evening during the night, you are going to wake yourself up by going like a snort and a jerk.
Yes.
And what just happened was the part of your brain that's responsible for doing that, it worked and it woke you up because your heart had stopped beating.
Yes.
And there are a lot of people who have sleep apnea, and they might stop breathing 48 times an hour. Now, come on, that's almost one time a minute. There's some people who wake up 6 times an hour. Now, of course, that's considered very mild. 5 and under is not considered sleep apnea, but the person who wakes up at least 6 times an hour, I have discovered that they have the same kind of symptoms as the person who woke up 48 times an hour, except their heart is not that in danger because their heart doesn't stop beating when they only do it 6 times an hour. I mean, or it only stops 6 times. But anyway, the symptoms are the same. I know because I've treated hundreds and hundreds of people. And but it is really important to stop that snoring now before it leads to sleep apnea. So I would like to, I'll just quickly tell my story about the football player. So I know if
Hey,
you've heard
Janet.
me, yes,
Janet, excuse me.
yes.
I learned something last night.
What?
Very interesting. Um, my girlfriend's sister was laying on the couch last night. We were watching a basketball game, and she snores. And I've told her, she knows that I've got sleep apnea. I use a CPAP machine, or used to. And it's amazing. You'd say, "Hey, you're snoring." "Oh, no, I'm not." And yeah, the whole room heard her snore, and she doesn't admit it. And what's really amazing is that a lot of people who snore won't even admit that they snore. And it's so sad because with what you have discovered, why more people don't try to do something when there's a problem, but it's just getting them to admit it first is the hardest thing.
I know. Okay, so thanks for sharing that. I truly believe that the person who snores and denies it doesn't understand the importance of stopping.
Agreed.
Okay, that person, I already know him or her, that person breathes through their mouth while they sleep. Maybe during the day too, but at least while they sleep, because that's what creates that sound of snoring. It's just the air going in and out of your mouth, and it makes that weird sound. So don't call it snoring. Let's call it mouth breathing. But then mouth breathing, people picture, your mouth wide open and everything. Your mouth doesn't have to be wide open. It can just be open a little bit, but you're mouth breathing. And so that really is the problem. And so I hope that those of you who are watching or listening today, I'm going to present to you the questions that I would ask if I were evaluating you to see if you really do need this program. Okay, now these questions that I'm going to ask you, obviously.
Why do you think people do that, Janet? Why do you think you can have a whole room telling you you're snoring and you still deny it? Why do you
Okay,
think
so,
people do that?
well, I'm just thinking if it were me and I didn't know what I know, first I'd be embarrassed. Okay,
Right.
I'd be embarrassed. And then I might quickly also think, well, I don't know what the heck to do about it.
Yeah.
Even if I admitted doing it, you know, I really can't think of any other reason. I, I don't know, because that's just, I don't know. Well, also, no, I do know the denial thing. When you go into denial about something, then it can get pretty solid. You can deny it, pretty well.
Right. I agree.
But that's why today I just want to take a few minutes to. I'm going to ask some questions, and you just answer them wherever you are. And if you find that you have answered yes to any of these questions, and you may find that you answer yes to more than 50% of them, all of these questions I'm going to ask you have to do with mouth breathing. For example, do you wake up with a dry mouth? If you wake up with a dry mouth, that's because the air's been going in and out of your mouth all night. Yes, you are a mouth breather. Yes, you may make snoring sounds. But if you were to learn how to keep your lips closed while you're sleeping, that air can't go in and out of your mouth and make those noises. Bingo. Okay, that's the easy thing. Do you wake up tired? If you wake up tired, and let me say this, a lot of people have had sleep apnea like you, Steve, for years. Maybe you didn't realize it, for years, and have woken up tired for many years. And by the time you get to like post 20 or 30 years of feeling tired, you forget what you used to feel like.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
now when you wake up tired, I would think that you are just grateful to be able to climb out of bed, get that coffee, and get your act together so you feel more normal.
Yeah.
Okay?
Because even a CPAP machine, which I was on, that's not a normal way to sleep. So
Right,
maybe you're sleeping, but I was always tired.
right,
Always.
right. And
I
it's
haven't been tired in a couple months.
good. I'm
It
so
is the
glad.
greatest feeling knowing that you can get a normal night's sleep.
Yes. Thank you for sharing all this, Steve. People need to hear this. I mean, this is not
I
something that
wish
we've
I'd have known about
staged.
it, Janet. I wish years ago I
Yeah,
would have known about it.
yeah. Okay.
But we want people to do something about it. Don't
I
just
know. I know.
acknowledge it.
Okay, so along with waking up tired with a dry mouth, you may also wake up with a sore throat. Now, that sore throat will go away pretty quickly. Once you
Mhm.
get up and you drink some coffee or water and start talking, that sore throat goes away. But what that sore throat means is that while you were sleeping, you were mouth breathing. And while the sore throat, the air was drying out your vocal cords that are down there in your larynx. Okay? If your mouth's open all night, those vocal cords are going to be affected. It dries them out. So when you swallow, you've got a sore throat, but it goes away once everything gets moistened in there. Okay. Another thing is a headache. You might wake up with a headache that goes away within about 30 minutes. And here again, that's because of mouth breathing. And you can Google, make yourself a note, Google it. What does waking up with a headache have to do with sleep apnea or mouth breathing? Just Google whatever I'm saying, to check it out, make sure it's right. And if you have these things, you need to do something now. And if your children, if you have children in your house and they're in the bed and they're snoring, I treated the one kid that helped me discover this. He was 14 and his mother said he rattled their windows. Now, come on. Of course, she didn't know what to do about it. Thank goodness I was treating him for some other problem. So that is how I came across this. I didn't know anything about snoring. Okay. But he stopped after 2 weeks of my exercises. He stopped snoring and the windows were quiet. Okay. You might wake up, you and children wake up irritable. You might have some kids who wake up really irritable and you say, oh, don't mess with him right now. Don't, he'll get over it soon. And adults. And here again, you might forget. You might not remember what it used to feel like when you could get up and smile as you're climbing out of bed. This is a great day. Okay. But it's all because of mouth breathing. Okay. Another thing is you get sleepy during the daytime. People that I've treated, they're all pretty much the same. It's usually around 1 o'clock, maybe 2, maybe 1:45. That's where it is, where you get sleepy. But as you start doing my tongue exercises, which is what this treatment is, I know I haven't explained that yet, but it's just easy tongue exercises. As you start doing those exercises, you gradually get better in all of these areas. Okay, you wake up with a less dry mouth, or with a less severe headache, or you find that you aren't getting sleepy in the daytime until about 3 or 4 o'clock. Those kinds of little telltale signs let you know that at least part of the time during the night, your lips are closed. All right. And you have to, it's really kind of fun to figure out, oh, I'm different here, I'm different there, this is changing. And you get through the 7 weeks of tongue exercises very quickly. Some other problems. If you have asthma, think about asthma. I know it's a medical problem, and I cannot say that I can help a medical problem. But asthma is caused or exacerbated, gosh, I can't even say the word, exacerbated by cold air, breathing in cold air, and dirty air. So you might find that your asthma is helped if you can learn how to close your mouth. Also, difficulty concentrating during the day. It makes sense. You woke up tired. You have daytime
Yeah.
sleepiness. Yes, you have trouble concentrating right about that time that you're sleepy. Let's see. You
If
might have
people are watching right now, let me tell you, you see me shaking my head up and down. Everything that Janet is telling about, I experienced myself. So this is like going like deja vu. I remember
yeah.
all this.
Okay. Okay, good. Do you remember when you didn't remember?
Yes, yes. And now going back now, it's because I was always so tired.
Right, 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 right. Okay, good.
Just like the football player, that was a great example.
Right, right. Yeah. It really was. And I'll just, I didn't start that story, but I'll finish it with this football player. One of the biggest things for him after he did these exercises, actually after only 2 weeks of them, he ran faster when he played football. And that's a huge thing. I've worked with some professional runners.
Yeah, I
It
could see
does,
that
when you
easily.
stop breathing through your mouth and you're doing exercises, even if it's lifting weights, you will do better. You'll be able to lift more weights. You'll be able to run faster. It's another kid that I treated, he was 13. He had did the exercises, and he had a mile run, and he cut 35 seconds off of his record. So
Wow.
these things are great. It's amazing what mouth breathing can do to hurt your body. I'm going to share some other things. Sometimes after you eat a meal, you might have stomach aches and pains. You might feel bloated.
Yes.
And if you do, you probably feel that way just about every day. I mean, it's something that stays with you. But did you know that some tongue exercises that teach you how to breathe out of your nose instead of your mouth, that can actually make that feeling go away? And why is that? Because when you're eating and you're chewing, your mom and dad always said, close your mouth while you're chewing your food. Don't smack your lips and all that stuff. But a person who mouth breathes actually has to smack their lips to some degree while they're chewing their food, because to keep your lips closed like that, as long as it takes you maybe to chew a bite of a hamburger, whoa, you would never make it through it unless you could breathe in a little bit of air. That's what causes the bloated feeling. That's what causes the nauseated feeling. And as soon as you stop or learn to keep your lips closed while you're chewing your food, you won't have those aches and pains. They're gone. Okay, let's see something else. Some adults, but I think it's mainly children, and they might be older children, 8, 9, 10, are still wetting the bed. And believe it or not, very often wetting the bed is associated with mouth breathing.
Wow, I
And
didn't know that.
I know, and you have to Google it. I've Googled it. I would have to pull out my cheat sheet and read it because I haven't memorized the answer. But it has to do with a certain part of your brain that kind of misreads what's going on and thinks that you have to urinate. Okay, when you don't, and it's just because of the mouth breathing. So, parents out there, if you have a child, even if it's a 5-year-old or 4 years old, check on them. If they are wetting the bed, check them at night. Go in there. If they go to sleep after you do, you stay up or get up, wake up while they're asleep. And if they are breathing through their mouth while they're sleeping, there's a real good chance that bedwetting is happening because of that. And they need to learn how to sleep with their lips closed. Okay. There are all of these things, all for mouth breathing. My exercises that I have, I'm going to keep going with the symptoms, but my exercises that I have, two major goals. It trains your tongue to live on the roof of your mouth, like that. And it also trains you to breathe through your nose, keep your lips closed. Those are the two major goals. And they're easily met with these exercises that you get for 7 weeks.
You
You
know,
have to
the exercises, Janet, it is so strange because after 2 weeks, I found myself automatically checking my tongue.
right.
Never did that before.
Well, no,
Didn't even think about it.
no,
But, and still today, I'll wake up in the morning. The first thing I think about is, where's my tongue at?
right,
It just becomes automatic.
right, right. Absolutely. It's a new habit. You replace
Yes.
your habits, Yeah, very good. Thank you for telling that. Another thing, let me see. I'm looking at my things here. Okay, all of you out there who are listening or watching, whatever, right now, if you aren't talking, be quiet for a second and tell me, or tell yourself, write down, where is your tongue in your mouth? Where's it resting when you aren't talking or eating or drinking or laughing or chewing? Where's your mouth? Some people will say it's down the bottom, maybe pushing the back of your teeth. Some people might say it's kind of in the middle, kind of hovering like a helicopter. Some people will say, well, it's up on the top, on the roof of the mouth. Okay, those who have it up on the roof of the mouth, congratulations. That's where it's supposed to be. So if you find that your tongue is not living up there, you need to do these exercises. Some other problems, let's see, you might have trouble swallowing pills. And that's because whenever you mouth breathe and your tongue lives on the bottom, your tongue, when it's time to swallow a pill, your tongue doesn't know where to go. It doesn't realize, oh, it's got to go all the way to the top and get suctioned up there and squish that pill down. It doesn't know that because it's never lived up there. So it's just really amazing all of the different problems that can be fixed with some simple, easy exercises. Let's see what else. Do you have unusual amount of anxiety? Google is too. I'm telling you, I want you to check me out and make sure I'm telling the truth here, because a person who mouth breathes is more anxious. And as soon as you stop breathing through your mouth, you will notice a decrease in your anxiety level. Steve, did you experience
Oh,
any?
absolutely.
What did that feel like?
I think I know for a fact I am so much calmer now.
Mhm.
And you're right about the headaches. I would have headaches, and it just it's so amazing how I didn't have to go out and buy equipment, or I've had this huge CPAC machine
Right,
on my face, and all
right.
this time, if I'd have known to do your techniques, which I got to tell people, Janet says 7 weeks, mine
7
says
weeks.
2 weeks.
Well, Steve, well, you really need all 7 weeks, and I'll tell you why. Because we start with the muscles in the tip of your tongue, and we don't get to all of the muscles until the 7th week, and all of them have to be strengthened, and toned, and they'll learn to live farther back in your mouth. So if you happen to have a lisp like that, it's also gonna help you get rid of that lisp.
Wow.
That's huge, that's huge. I know we're getting close to no time. I wanna share quickly, my program is, at correctmytonguethrust.com. You click on the button to purchase that online. It's very inexpensive. It's just like, having a book in front of you, a table of contents, lesson 1, you click on it, you can read the exercises, you click on another site, and you can see me teaching an adult male how to do those exercises. And then you can click somewhere else, and I'll be there waiting to exercise with you, because you have to do it twice a day. It'll only take about 15 minutes. If you are not willing to do your exercises twice a day, every day, at least 6 out of 7 days, do not waste your money on buying this program. The other thing is, if you cannot physically breathe through your nose, don't buy this program until you get your nose fixed, okay? And you can go to an ear, nose, and throat doctor. Say, tell them you've got to have your nose fixed so you can breathe, and then you can get my program to stop snoring. But I've given you everything online to help you, and I'm always available. My phone number is 828-273-9888. So you can always get in touch with me, and any questions you have. Also, oh, I almost forgot, I have a new thing. Whenever you purchase the program, you get a free 45-minute consultation with me. So that means as soon as you purchase the program, we can, get together, contact me, and we'll schedule a time, and you can get in pretty quickly, within a week or less, because it's just 45 minutes. And I'll meet with you and make sure that this is the right thing for you. Okay, and help you. I'll make sure that you don't have any other issues we need to know about. And people who do that really leave feeling more hopeful and more confident that they can do it.
I was just thinking, Jen, like when a person goes on a diet, a lot of times they'll backslide, go off the diet. I got to tell you, with your program, especially if you've ever had to use a CPAP machine like I did, and you see what it feels like not to have to use it, there is no way you could get me to stop your program.
I know.
Even though I'm not on the CPAP machine anymore, even though I'm not snoring anymore, there is no way I'm going to take a
Right.
chance of ever going backwards.
Right, right. Well, and if, sometimes people, maybe a person gets really sick. Now they're not going to be able to breathe through their nose. That's okay. You have to breathe through your mouth that time, okay? But maybe they stay sick for quite a while. And when they get well, then they're not used to breathing through their nose as much as they did. They just do a few exercises to get back in the groove, so to speak. Get your tongue back up on the roof of your mouth and close your lips, and you're good to go.
Janet, as always, we love having you on. I even kept you on a little bit longer today. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Um, we will
Thank
see
you.
you again soon. Give
Okay.
everybody the number one more time, please.
828-273-9888. Thank you.
Beautiful. That's Janet Bennett. Thank you, Janet. She's so humble. And I got to tell you again, if you snore, let's just say people tell you snore and you don't think you do, you got to try Janet's program. It will make the biggest difference in your life. That's it for us today. We'll be back with you again next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.